Hey all, Simone here. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday already. The week is getting on quickly. And I thought I might share something with you today that everybody talks about, and it's kind of an old school term. It's delegating, right? And if I say delegating, most of you are going to go, oh my God, that's just so old school. We know what that is. We don't need to talk about that. But here's the deal. I work with a lot of young leaders of companies who are already making 7 and 8 figures, and they still haven't figured this piece out. Because when it's your baby and you're really concerned about getting it right, the temptation is to take on more and control more and let go less than you should really do, right? So it's really common for young CEOs that they're having a hard time letting other people lead. So so often it seems easier and faster just to do it yourself, and it may seem easier and faster to do it yourself right now, but guess what that causes in the long run? Exactly, you're going to be doing those things yourself for a long time. But that also means that you're not doing the things that your company really needs you to do. And that means the only things you should really be doing as the leader, which is focus on the big picture and lead your leaders. So what does all this stuff mean? Like I said, we used to call this thing delegation, but it's really a lot more than that. It's helping others grow and optimizing your team, and those two really belong together, and that also addresses that piece where it's really hard to let somebody else. So what we really want to go for is we want to empower the rest of the team, are really robbing your company from getting your highest and best use out of you because you're doing other stuff. So as a blatant example, instead of having you need, you're doing it yourself. So if that means you're doing $75 an hour work where you could be forging new relationships, where you could be meeting new investors, where you could be doing work that is a whole lot more valuable for your company because it takes your company to the next level. So what would that be worth to your company? It'd be priceless. So that means you're robbing your company out of priceless work. So you got to keep thinking about that. And you might go, yeah, I get the theory, but my team is really junior. How do I make sure that all keeps going well, that they do everything the way I want them to do it? And fair enough. But, generally, the way you have to think about delegation is you have to think about it as a trust issue. So what gets in the way of giving other people something to do is that you don't think they can do it right? So what we have to do is we have to make sure we build the team right so that you can trust them to take over when you should really not be doing these things. So just like everything else, there's 5 easy steps to freedom and getting delegation right. The first thing is about you, and you have to think about what are your strengths and weaknesses, because that's how you identify what your highest and best use is. So what are your strengths and weaknesses? Because you want to keep focusing on the things that are easy for you, that are really effective, that you can do fast and easy, that are really going to drive your company forward, and that are uniquely yours because you are the best at doing these, right? So think about what those are. And then you want to think about what's stressful, what's a total pain in the butt, what's the stuff that's causing you stress, that's causing you anxiety, and that is sucking a lot more time and energy from you than it should. So note those patterns and themes and really be clear about those are. And then you want to do a kind of a holistic business assessment. That's the second thing. And you want to figure out what are really the gaps that you have in your team right now, the gaps in your business, what are the fatal flaws? And those are the things that you want to mostly focus on, the things that are really good, that are going well already, and do more of those. But when you think about areas of improvement, you want to notice where you have those really big gaps that are getting in your way of scaling, that are getting in your way of doing what you need to do, and those are the fatal flaws. So figure out what those are, fix those only, and really focus on what's working mostly. So that will give you the skill sets in your team, the resources that you need, and maybe some personalities your team is lacking, so that you can really not notice the patterns in there. So you notice the patterns in yourself, you notice the patterns in your team. And then you use those findings to really evaluate your existing team. Because everybody on your team needs to be an A+ player. We don't do B players. We don't do A- tier players. We have to make sure that everybody gets either liberated or they get up leveled to being that A+ player that really makes a huge difference to your company. So what makes an A+ player? It's somebody who loves what they do, they're really great at it, your business really needs what they do, and they're a great team fit. So those 4 things, right? So first of all, you really have to figure out what all the dynamics are in the company, in your team, and you need to also make sure that you have a very diverse skill set, because otherwise you can't succeed. You can't have people who are doing the same things well. You need to make sure that you have good dynamics and a good fit on that. And then you need to balance out what you have. You need facets. You need some people who do one thing well, some people do other things well. You need some people who are quiet, some people who are outspoken, some people who are introverts, some people who are extroverts. So you want that diversified and balanced team. And then you want to make sure that you find people who really understand your business, but they bring a fresh perspective to it. Because you need to bring in people who can point out what other people are already used to. So when you get fresh people in there, they notice what other people aren't noticing anymore, and so you can really help your team up level that way. And then 4th is you want to pay attention to what that culture is that you're building. Because if you want to be able to rely on your team, if you want to be able to give them things to do, up level them, delegate to them, all that stuff, you want to make sure that you have a team that has extreme ownership as one as their absolute core values. So extreme ownership and collaboration, that means people own the results that they're driving. Every idea is welcome. They have open communication and really active collaboration. So they execute as a team and not as individuals. And that's really how your team becomes your greatest asset. People execute as a team. So you want to invest in that. You want to make sure that you get those 4 things right. And then the 5th thing is, now that you have all A players, you can really expand your vision and lead your leaders, and then you want to stay connected to them, that you're present, that people know what your vision is, what your dream is, and that they can help you execute on that. So those are really the 5 things you need to do to optimize your team, so that you can rely on them and that you feel complete trust in your people, so that you can delegate whatever you need to delegate to them, and that you know they're going to knock it out of the park. They're going to do it better than you ever would have. And that means you're up-leveling your team and your company right then and there. So keep thinking differently. What got you here is not the same thing that gets you to the next level. And if you want to find out more, we have a really great new training. It's at bulletproofstartups.com, and check out that training, and you can apply for a call with us there. And have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week.